A lot of the issues that I care about most and that I will be talking about over the course of the campaign are citywide issues. Innovation is something that touches every single neighborhood, and my motivation is making sure that all of our neighborhoods, whether it's Hyde Park, South End, East Boston, are all plugged into this innovation citywide. Education is something that affects families in every single neighborhood. And I also want to be a voice for those communities, many of whom I worked with on the Warren campaign, and many of which are outside of the district that I live in.
So when you go back to the folks that you worked with during the campaign and the folks that you met on the campaign trail and you say to them, I'm now running for office, do you find that they're willing to help you?
I've been so lucky about the support and the enthusiasm that I've found from people. It's a fresh conversation. Certainly it helps to have relationships from different campaigns that I've worked on or organizations that I've worked with. But when you're putting yourself forward and saying, this is the campaign that I'm running, it's a completely new conversation.
And so does everybody have an idea, a thought, an opinion on how you should run your campaign?
As they should.
As they should. No, my question was about you running your campaign, not that they have an opinion about what needs to get done, but about how you should run your campaign. In other words, do you find that there's this multiplicity of voices coming at you so fast and so furiously that it gets a bit confusing, or are you kind of rock solid in your convictions and knowing where you want to go and how you want to do this, that you can listen, take in what they've got to say, but still remain on course?
I have a few core principles that I will stick to no matter what through this campaign. That's being in every single neighborhood, being inclusive, and doing the outreach face-to-face, working as hard as possible. Other than that, I'm always open to feedback, open to constructive criticism, suggestions, and so I've welcomed advice from people across the spectrum. And that has resulted in definitely conflicting advice at times, because I think it's impossible to say this is the right way to run a winning campaign. But the more people you talk to, the more you can bring in bits of information. Here's what worked before here, here's what worked in this neighborhood. And I think the more customized and targeted campaign I can run, the better I can get to know families in every single neighborhood, the prouder I'll be no matter what the result is.
So let me ask you, do you think that your heritage and your gender, it plays a part in your success, or is it that folks are looking for new, fresh, young, vibrant ideas coming forth from their candidates?
People care about the issues, and they care about whether you connect with them, whether you care and want to incorporate what's important to them into what you're fighting for. So I certainly think that as the daughter of immigrants, as an Asian American woman, as someone who has run a small business, the legal guardian of her younger sister, I bring a unique set of views to the table. And I certainly don't expect anyone to vote for me because I'm any single one of those things. But being able to connect with different communities and really showing that I want to do it and want to work hard and doing that outreach, I think has been what has helped most in connecting with people.
So there was a recent Boston Globe article that mentioned your candidacy, but also talked about the fact that you came out of the gates pretty quickly in fundraising and was able to raise a fair amount of capital, which then puts you on everybody's radar screen. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that everybody in a short period of time knows who Michelle Wu is, or would you have liked that to would you have kind of liked to slowly have kind of crept up on them?
Well, I think it's still going to be a long battle in terms of name recognition and making sure that people know what I stand for and know my name and what I represent. Certainly, I've felt really honored and humbled to have so much support, to have gotten to the fundraising number that I did at the end of the year, and also to have had not only a number that I'm proud of, but a long list that I'm proud of. It's a really diverse list of people. It's a coalition of folks from a wide range of ages, ethnicities, walks in life, different experiences, and so I just feel incredibly blessed to have that behind me at the very beginning of the campaign. For better or worse, fundraising is an important piece of running for office. And for me, it's about doing the outreach, making the connections, and encouraging people, if they would like to buy into my campaign, buy into this movement that I'm trying to build of an inclusive, innovative city.
So before you really got into political life, you said that you worked for a number or a few social organizations, community organizations. Talk to me about one or two of those organizations that you've worked for and what you learned from those organizations. What were they built to do, and how did you factor into it?
Sure. I spent a good amount of time at the Medical Legal Partnership in Boston. This was a nonprofit that was started at Boston Medical Center by the pediatrics department. The goal of the organization is to help fulfill health inequities, help solve health inequities with a holistic approach. So they connect lawyers to doctors, two very different fields, one might think, two different languages, but working together to make sure that a family's entire picture is taken into account. So the lawyers train doctors in how to recognize when legal problems are impacting people's health, and then they step in to solve those problems. As an example, a young asthma patient with fairly standard asthma, very treatable, the pediatrician thought, kept coming into the emergency room week after week, even though the doctor was sending him home with irregular medication, and it should have been very under control. But every week he would see him back in the emergency room. Finally, the doctor did a home visit and saw that the child was living in public housing. There was mold that had not been taken care of, and that was triggering the asthma over and over again. So no matter how much medication he was given, unless this underlying legal problem was solved, there would be no way that he would get to a holistic, healthy lifestyle.
Tell me about another organization that you work with.
I'm currently now also on the board of the Kwangkao Chinese School. It is a 96-year-old Chinese school in Chinatown, and devoted to not only making sure that students are learning different dialects of Chinese, but also participating in culture and heritage. And I think that's extremely important for every neighborhood and every community to be able to preserve their traditions and pass that on to the next generation.
And so what is this with you being associated with the Puerto Rican Veterans folks? Talk to me about that.
I feel really lucky to be part of that organization.
Right.
I'm on the board, and it is an incredible
Now, this is for the memorial that they're trying to put together for...
in the South End.
Right, for Latin soldiers.
It's for Puerto Rican servicemen and women from any conflict, past, present, future, really. Mm-hmm. And the organization is devoted to expanding the monument, which was actually the first anywhere in the country devoted to Puerto Rican veterans, right here in Boston, right here in the South End, to be able to build that into a larger statue that features both a male and a female soldier.
How did you become involved with that? I'm curious.
I had worked at OISTE, the state's first and largest Latino civic and political engagement organization, and through my work there, helps the Puerto Rican Veterans Monument Square Association advocate for a city council resolution supporting their efforts. As I grew to get to know the group a little better, I really just became very attached to the cause. My own grandfather was career military in Taiwan. Some of his proudest moments were fighting alongside American soldiers in World War II, and he just, I think of him whenever I'm with the veterans.
Nice.
Although I am speaking Spanish, not Chinese at those meetings.
Right. So. Yeah, I understand you speak about what, 2, 3, 4 languages? How many languages do you speak?
I grew up speaking Mandarin. I speak Spanish, and I had studied French in college. It's a little bit rusty right now, but I can generally still get by.
And see, I was just about to ask you to say something in French. No, I'm only kidding. And before we go to break, talk to me about the Rocks Vote Coalition.
And again,
what do you do
an
with them?
incredible
Who are they,
organization.
and what do you do with those guys?
It is a coalition of activists that really works to motivate and increase political participation in Roxbury. So it's a nonpartisan organization focused on voter turnout, opportunities for engagement with elected officials, and other ways to keep residents informed and active on the issues. So it's a great group. It's about, again, bringing more people into the process. And they're doing some incredible work.
So, along the trail and out and about, you'll occasionally run into people, and when you talk to them about voting and the need to vote, you will hear occasionally, well, I don't vote, my vote doesn't matter, the system is going to do what the system is going to do, so why should I be engaged? What do you say to that line of reasoning?
Every vote matters. Every vote matters. It's everything from the people that you put into office, the issues that you express your opinion on, they have an everyday impact. And it's not only about creating that connection between the community and government, but also setting an example for future generations. So I remember when I was little, my father, after he first became a citizen, he was so proud to become a U.S. citizen, would bring us to the ballot box with him. And standing there, watching that, seeing how proud he was to vote, that's really what I think first started to instill in me this sense that this is something bigger than all of us, that we are all casting our vote, putting our voice out there as part of a larger decision about the future of our country, really.
So just to play devil's advocate, when you come across someone who really feels very intimately that they are disenfranchised, what example can you give them when you say that every vote counts? How can you illustrate to them that but for this group of people voting, this change would have never happened? What would you say to that?
I think if we look at the Warren campaign, we see a lot of examples of this statewide. I was particularly proud of Lowell, where there's a very large Cambodian population. Now, Lowell had gone for Scott Brown in 2010 with the special election. Right. But this time around, we really worked to engage the Cambodian community, many of whom turned out in great numbers for the first time. It was their first time voting, and we had vans picking up Cambodian residents, figuring out which polling place they should go to because they'd never gone before, and then taking them back home afterwards. And I think in large part due to a huge swelling of participation by the Cambodian community, Elizabeth ended up winning Lowell.
Beautiful. Look, we're going to go to break, Michelle. We're going to go to break. We had a special guest actually drop by, and that would be Senator Elizabeth Warren stopped by today, and she wanted to send out a message to the folks that are going to be at the Martin Luther King breakfast coming up soon. And so we're going to play that for you just to see what she had to say to those folks. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to come back, and I want to talk to Michelle about what her sense is of the partisan divide when you talk about the Democrats and the Republicans, and why there may be that gap, although at the tender age of 28, she may not know the answer to that, but I'm going to ask anyway. But equally as important is, what is her thoughts on how we get beyond that divide, how we bring people together to really work for you and I? So please do stay tuned. We'll be back in a few moments.
Thank you for the invitation to join you at the Martin Luther King breakfast. I welcome any opportunity to celebrate the life of Dr. King and his commitment to social justice. I was here with you last year for this breakfast, and I hope to be with you for the breakfast next year. But I can't be here this year, and I can't for the best possible reason, because I'll be standing somewhere near Barack Obama when he takes the oath of office for his second term for President of the United States. It's an historic moment, and I'm delighted that I'll be there. You know, when he takes his oath, I'll be taking my own silent oath to do everything I can to help him make this country a country that is truly committed to the ideals that Dr. King laid out for us. So, happy Martin Luther King Day. We're all celebrating it in a terrific way. Thanks.